427. Madam Speaker, I think my good friend from the Central Coast needs to not say things like, why did we wait so long? I guess I would ask, why did you? It's not my party that's been in charge of this process for the last 4 budget cycles. So why did we wait this long? And I do want to mention as well that when people exult in being able to vote for this, there's an opposite effect here as well. And that is that when you say you're exulting about voting for this, you say you're exulting about putting me out of business. Because that's just the way it is. I wish more people who were in this body actually knew Business 101 so that we could have a constructive discussion about what it takes to stay in business. But let me move on. Madam Speaker, as part of the Joint Committee on Student Success, I did a lot of traveling with this committee in 2018. As I look at the new initiatives contained in this bill, there are some things that match up very well with our difficulties. We must remember why we joined this committee in the first place. Joint Committee on Student Success. The problem, kids weren't showing up for school, and kids weren't graduating from high school. We must remember that Oregon has been awash in tax collections for several years, and still our schools have floundered. And there's PERS. We've had adequate opportunity to do all kinds of things about PERS, knowing the devastating effect that PERS will have on our schools and on our kids, and we have refused to do anything substantive about it. And here, Madam Speaker, in my opinion, we've got the cart before the horse. It was cost containment, then we'll talk revenue. But at this point in time, no cost containment, but certainly a whole lot of revenue. Let's go to mail call here for just a moment. Late in the afternoon, we're tired, we're hungry, getting lonesome. Let's hear from some folks. Dear Representative Wilson, it's totally unfair to tax any business on gross receipts. How about if I taxed your income before you could pay all your bills? As an Oregon small business owner, I strive to be profitable, but we lost a great deal of money in the fires in the last couple of years. And now you would be taxing me on my losses as well? I'm very concerned about the legislature's consideration of yet another proposed gross receipts tax on businesses. House Bill 3427 must, in all fairness, be defeated. And from another constituent, today, I'll just abbreviate this. We urge a no on House Bill 3427. We don't appreciate being held hostage by people who seem to think that the only answer to poor performance in our education system here in Oregon is injection of ever more funding. Funding which will be extorted from struggling taxpayers who are facing an onslaught of tax increase bills proposed in this legislative session. What's really angering is that the revenue is going to be raised through a gross receipts tax. Didn't we just do that? Yeah, we did. And it went down in flames. Another one. Dear members of the Oregon House of Representatives, you're being asked to vote on K-12 funding bill today. The bill targets corporate sales at or above $1 million. When you look in the face of a dairy farmer, do you think of them as corporate giants? Of course not. We would submit the public doesn't either. These hardworking, multi-generational family farmers work 24/7, 365 to care for their cows, to care for their farms, the environment, and their communities. The milk sales for a dairy are as few as with 250 cows exceeds $1 million. So 250 cows, you can exceed $1 million. Sounds like a lot of money, right? It is until you subtract the cost of feed and labor and seed and fertilizer, electricity, water, transportation, and everything else. Madam Speaker, I'm hearing from someone who needs to give me a yield.
Thank you, Representative. How about Representative Mike McLean yields his time? Please continue.
Thank you, Representative McLean. Our big problem here is we've got a several billion-dollar sales tax. And the word is just now starting to get out. This multi-billion-dollar sales tax is going to beat up on working families. Our working families just can't take this, Madam Speaker. This is going to wreck a lot of businesses along the way, and I hope you will believe us. Maybe we're just counted as collateral damage. I hope not. The latter half of this bill, the gross receipts tax or corporate tax or commercial activities tax, whatever it's called, doesn't apply to all businesses. We've heard a lot about that today. Nope. Some big influential businesses got some what we call cutouts or carve-outs or whatnot. What that means is some big businesses got a real deal. Why did some of these big businesses here who hang around the Capitol get the deal of the day? I don't even want to speculate on that. But here's a takeaway. It's commonly said that for 14 straight times, Oregonians have said no to a sales tax. Oregonians recently said no to Measure 97. Measure 97 did indeed go down in flames. But this bill takes a different approach. It's a sales tax paid by 40,000 plus businesses across Oregon and then passed on to you through higher prices for nearly everything. That, my friends, is another sales tax. The small reduction in your income tax rate will do virtually nothing compared to the money that you're now going to be spending as these businesses try to pass on this expense to you. This is one of the most secret taxes ever passed by this legislative body. When folks really hear about this, they're going to be really mad. Want transparency? How about holding some more hearings around the state so people can actually hear from you that this isn't a sales tax? Please, virtually no one knows about this tax yet, but they're learning about it quickly. Please know that we don't want Oregon schools or students to fail. Why would I? My grandchildren go to public schools. I don't want these schools to fail. But there are other ways. There are budget priorities. You know, budgeting is about priorities, and you show your priorities by how you budget. And for 4 consecutive budget cycles, we haven't done all that much for schools, have we? Just think of the money that would be available for our classrooms if we had taken PERS seriously. I mean, just think of the difference. Everybody in the state knows that this is the big beast that we have to deal with, that we're not. And we didn't do it. And as a result, we hurt our kids. And it was our choice. Now we're trying to get it all back at once through a secret sales tax. In spite of record revenues flowing into our coffers, we're asking for more. We're asking for more. Madam Speaker, working families simply cannot afford this. Why do we test fate? Why do we do this to them? We can still do well for our kids. Record revenues coming in. We can prioritize and put them first if we choose. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Representative.